Coming up, I'm going to be talking about how over 50% of adult Disney Plus subscribers want more mature content on the platform, plus much more. But before we get into any of that, make sure you do hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest Disney Plus news. Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on DisneyPlus.com. It's Wednesday, it's time to jump into some of today's big Disney Plus news. Obviously, with it being a Wednesday, means it's time for some new content. The big one today around the world was a new episode of Hawkeye. It's the third episode. Really great, can't wait to see the uncle in that one. Also, we got a new episode of the Disney Insider. There's also lots of new library content added around the world, including here in the United Kingdom. We got the brand new 20th Century Studios movie, The Last Duel. So that one's going to be a big one. That'll be arriving in Australia and New Zealand next week. There's also some new international originals arriving around the world, including a new episode of Dopesick, which is one of my favourite series. Plus, here in the United Kingdom, we got the very first episode of The Big Leap, which is a brand new original series dropping each and every week. And down in Australia, they got a load of new content. Looks like one of the deals with Stan has actually now finished, and they got loads of new stuff. They got the Golden Girls, they've got Lost, they got Revenge, they've got a host of new bits and pieces. So if you're in Australia, you've got lots to watch, including every episode of Family Guy and every episode of Grey's Anatomy. Loads of stuff. Which brings me on to our next topic. So as you can see, I was mentioning lots of content which would be considered too mature for Disney Plus in the United States. And there has been some issues in the past about what Disney are going to do with Disney Plus and Hulu in the United States, because they're still very much separated. Whereas in the rest of the world, except for Latin America, we're seeing all this mature content added onto Disney Plus, and it is really, really popular. Only yesterday I put up an article about what is the most popular shows on Disney Plus in November, and many of them were things like The Walking Dead, Grey's Anatomy, and Family Guy, because it takes a look at the whole world. According to a new survey that was commissioned by Variety VIP, over 50% of Disney Plus subscribers in the United States would like to see some mature content on Disney Plus. According to the survey conducted by Whip Media of their US TV Time app users, which was around about 700 users, nearly 53% of survey respondents felt that Disney Plus had enough content to keep them entertained daily. However, over 20% of people asked felt there was nothing to watch on Disney Plus for them daily, with a staggering 63% of survey respondents agreeing that the notion that they'd like more mature content aimed at adults on Disney Plus. And many of them would like to have either included or free access to some of the Hulu originals like The Handmaid's Tale or Solar Opposites. Obviously, one of the big issues with this was that around 50% of people want it, but just under 50% don't want it. And I can see this from a number of posts and comments that I see daily on our Disney Plus Facebook group and on social media of parents that like to be able to put their kid in front of Disney Plus, and they don't have to worry about anything that they can't see. They don't have to worry about any of this. Now, I do think that this is because in the United States, they've not really pushed the whole parental control very often, because there's not really much difference for most parents. However, internationally, the rest of the world has been able to handle this quite well. We've got all the different age groups. So if you want to watch something that's 18, you'd have to put a PIN number in, and every account can be sort of positioned to the right setting. So if you've got a 12-year-old, you can set it to them. If it's a 14-year-old, etc. And I don't think in the US they've really been pushing it, because there really hasn't been a lot of need. So the technology is already built into the app. It's just something they've not really been having to use. And I think as well, a lot of people have just got used to the way that Disney Plus is in the United States. And I think internationally it's already proven that isn't the case. Now, obviously, there are some issues in the United States with Hulu, because Comcast still owns 33% of it. The deal that's currently in place means that Disney run Hulu, and by 2024, either Disney or Comcast can force Disney to buy out Comcast's stake. And that's going to be an issue, obviously, as well. Hulu is now making a little bit of money. They get the money from the ad revenue, so there is kind of issues going on with this one. Disney CEO Bob Chapek has said in the past that the Disney streaming bundle is not ideal, and they've got data from Disney Plus around the world that shows that churn is reduced and there's more engagement by adding in this additional content. So they are collecting data from around the world. So this is the key thing. They've already done it. So it's not like a case of, oh, they can't do it. They've already done it in most countries, and there's millions of us having access to Disney Plus without it. But right now, Disney is really in that situation that they've got to look at doing something with Disney Plus. It's not growing the way it was. It was naturally going to slow down, but the way that they're doing it is not really the best competition against like HBO, Netflix, etc., which have everything all combined. But I think this survey definitely indicates that there is a taste for this, and I wonder if Disney started adding a little bit more content here and there, maybe some more like TV 14 stuff to kind of just maybe get people more used to it. I think that's the key thing here, is kind of getting people used to it. You know, when you're watching something like Hawkeye today, you know, he's shooting people up, he's attacking people, they're fighting people, but that seems okay because it's a comic book series. So, but anything kind of realistic just doesn't seem to get through. But this is obviously a thing that's going to go forward, but I'd love to know your thoughts. Would you like to see more mature content on Disney Plus if you're in the United States? And if you're outside the United States, and what do you think with Star being included? I'd love to hear your thoughts. In some other news, Disney branded television has announced that it's ordered a brand new coming-of-age comedy set in the expressive, music-fueled roller skating community. This new series is called Saturdays, and it's going to be going into production in May 2022. The series introduces teenage Paris Johnson, who considers roller skating to be part of her soul. She breathes it in and makes it a lifestyle. She lives for the weekends because that's when she gets to go to her sanctuary, the neon-lit Saturdays, a seemingly magical wood floor roller rink where the impossible often manifests. Obviously, it's going to be a while until we see this series, but let me know what you think of this in the comments below. And finally, Disney has agreed to a new multi-year carriage deal with Comcast that will see its channels continue to be available on Comcast networks, and also that the Disney streaming services, including Disney Plus, Hulu and ESPN Plus, will be available on the Xfinity platforms. Obviously, this is a massive deal for Disney because it will continue that money coming in for those television networks. It also does mean that those television channels probably aren't going to be going anywhere anytime soon in the United States, like things like Disney Channel, things like that. But obviously, if you are a Comcast customer, it's great to have it. And if you are a Comcast Xfinity customer, knowing that you're still going to have access to your apps through the device is a good thing. Yes, I think that's generally the best way. And now, I think now that this is out the way, hopefully they can kind of sort out what they're doing with Hulu between the two companies, because this was obviously going to be a big deal. Comcast really needed those television networks, and Disney also likes the network money that comes in from them. But let me know what you think of all of this in the comments below. Go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe. And I shall see you guys in another video. Laters. I'd like to thank all of our Patreon and YouTube channel members for their support. You can become a member from as little as $2 a month and you get access to our weekly Q&A and much more.